I always often smile when I start these streams. Um, it's, it's a really amazing experience just to click the button and start the stream and see what happens. So I always appreciate when there's people here, straight away. I see MJG's here. It's awesome to see you here, MJG. MJG's doing the wave, saying hello. So I sort of made a mistake this week. It's meant to be book club tonight. I'm still going to do book club, but that'll be tomorrow or the next day. So I'm sorry for anyone who's expecting book club tonight. I haven't actually finished the book yet. That's why, and I'll have it finished tomorrow. So I usually talk about my week, and it has been a strange week this week. I always say that it's a strange week, or lots have been going on. It has been a lot of sort of changes that I've made, and things have changed in a way. So moving forward, what I have identified something I really have to focus on, and I had someone in the comments encourage me, is I have to focus on my fitness, my physical health. And I spoke to my psychologist on Friday, and he said the same thing. So I know that that's the one. My diet's pretty good. It could be better, but it's pretty good. Like I have a bowl of muesli with fruit every day, and that's really good for my health. I do need to do more. Exercise is a big one, and it has been really lacking. So I have to really focus on that. Try and do a little bit each day, and build up a habit, and or a discipline, and I've thought of ways of doing that. I can, because I do the night shift, caring for my mum. I've got an opportunity to do 5-minute exercise regimes throughout the night. Maybe do 2 of those, and then 10 minutes of exercise would be, even if I don't do any other exercise throughout the day, at least I'll have done that, and then that would add up over the week. So I'm gonna do that. The only thing that would sort of stop me with that is the rain, because where I'd exercise would be out on the lawn, and can't do that when it's raining. We've had a lot of rain. It's been rainy for weeks, which is really nice. It does mean that the garden's gotten covered in leaves and bark and things like that. So that's another thing I've got to do this week, is spend some time doing garden work. I've still got the ute still full of stuff to take to the tip, green waste. So maybe that's something I do tomorrow morning. It's the end of the year so quickly. We're already so close to the end of the year. It's happened so fast. And like I've mentioned in the last few streams, things are changing rapidly for me. So there's a lot of uncertainty for the next few weeks, few months. So I've just got to take it as it all happens, and I guess maybe doing this exercise every day will be something that helps me. Um, and I have all these things that I'm trying to do. So I'm and it's a problem that I do have is I always have these ideas and projects and you know I have too many and then I don't get any of them done. But then I look back and I go, well, actually, no, I did achieve this, I did achieve that. So um, yeah, I'm looking towards being positive. Like um, it's almost like if I look back over the last few months and then I look back at sort of what revelations I had last week, you know, not only has there been amazing new opportunities happen, um, I've had realizations where I can maybe take some things a little bit slower and give myself the opportunity to um, work on things. So one thing an idea I've got is I've got a room next to here that is I've got an art table, like an architectural table, and that's what I used to use for um, many years as my art table. It's a really good table, and it's adjustable, and the room is I've been using it as a laundry. So I put all my clothes on top of this table. So tomorrow I'm gonna clear the table and I'm gonna clean the room. Maybe I'll do a live stream and you can all see me clean a room. It'd be good therapy for me to uh, make it usable again because it's reasonably clean and ordered, except there's just too much stuff in there. You know when you have too many things in a room and you just can't use it because it's too full. So um, I think if I spend a few hours on it, I'd be able to set it up, and then that gives me a place to make art again, but it also and craft sort of stuff. But it also is a place where that table is really good to set my computer up and sit at it, and it changes the environment. So it might allow me to um, do different type of work at the computer. So these things are good, you know. The things I've been preventing for a long time. It was too easy to take all my clean clothes and just place them on this table and then use it as my um, clothes rack. It's pretty common. I'm not the only person who does that. So, I mean, they're all clean clothes. They're just sitting there in a pile. So I'll go about putting all the clothes away and hanging everything up on racks and stuff like that. Prepare that room so it's functional and give it a use again, and then um, lots of uses. So I can do art again, and then I can work at the desk, and I can also do craft sort of work as well. Um, and I like said in the last stream, like I do have an air conditioner in that room, and I rarely turn it on, although it is coming into summertime. So, you know, on those really, really hot days, I could actually just put the aircon on, and it gives me somewhere to be productive when it's too hot to do anything else. Um, so that, they're good things to sort of aim for. Exercise, um, you know, setting up a work environment so I can keep working on things. I've got the manuscript for my poetry book done as far as the poetry, but I've got like a section of essays that I've yet to write, and they're going to be fun to write. Like, I think it's just going to flow. As soon as I start, it'll happen, and it's going to be between maybe 30 to 100 pages of words. So I don't know how long it's going to take me. Could take me a week, or it could take me a few weeks. And it's not difficult to write because it's essentially, essays on 20 different topics. So each thing's only a page or 2 pages long. So, or 3 pages long. And it's stuff I don't really have to think about. It's stuff that's already there that I can just let it happen. And I think it's going to be a fun experience. What else? I have had alcohol a few times in the last few weeks, and I want to try and stop that again. It has been quite a stressful time, so it has been welcomed to have relief. But I do know that I function a lot better when I'm completely sober. So I'm not angry at myself or disappointed. I just think it's time to stop doing that. I've been doing my mindfulness lessons. I've got 2 students, and I've got a 3rd student that'll be starting in a month or 2 months' time. And it's really exciting how it's going. Like, especially like the last 2 lessons I did with the 2 different students, it really reinforced in me that not only I know what I'm doing, I'm able to explain it, and I was getting that feedback from the students that it was making sense, and also not just making sense, that it was having an effect and working, like, or they could see the power in it. And that's a big thing with mindfulness is Shaw's here. Awesome to see you here. Shaw says hi, MJG. So it is a big thing with mindfulness, is actually until it starts working, it's difficult, and also you don't know how powerful it is until it starts working, and then when it does, it opens up this whole thing. And Shaw says hi, Luke. How you going, Shaw? It's awesome to see you here. MJG says hi, the wave and the heart. And so that's really inspiring, And then, like I said in other streams, I got my insurance last week for my mindfulness, so that's prepared, and I've got to email back national parks. So I've got I'm getting a license to operate a business in national parks, which means I can take people for bushwalks and take people to do mindfulness exercises in nature, and also do like camping retreats, overnight retreats, and multi-day retreats in national parks. And they're really powerful way of doing intensive mindfulness training as well, because over 2 days, you've got the camping aspect, sitting around the fire, preparing food, going for walks, but then you have like 4 or 5 sessions of mindfulness, and then it's a very powerful way to learn. And I won't be doing that often. Like in the application form, it says, like what will you be doing and how often? Because it's all based on the impact that you do to the environment. If you're taking people walks every day or driving through places every day, it's going to cause damage to the park. So they then say, look, we're going to charge you more money, or we don't like that. We don't want you doing that, that sort of thing. But everything that I've got planned is very low impact, and it's low impact, and it's not very often. So I don't think I'm going to have any issues with them rejecting any of the proposals. And that's something I've got to do this week, is to email them back and organise the meeting. And hopefully that happens before the end of the year. If not the end of the year, it'll be the start of next year. But you know how people go on holidays and things like that. So if I don't get onto it straight away, then it might get delayed. I'm not intending to actually start that aspect of the business until February, March anyway. And I'm still deciding whether, because there's a working with disabilities course I can do, and if I do that, that could also include, that means I could actually have people I take for bushwalks and stuff like that are people with disabilities, and that's something I'd like to do. So the only downside with that is my availability to do the course. It takes up a certain amount of time, and whether I can actually do it considering everything that's going on. So it's just something I've got to think about. But the course is being offered for free, so I really should take the opportunity. That's given to me, and it would be really lovely. Like there's a 4 kilometers from my house, there is a national park walking trail that is grade 1, which is flat, and it means that people with wheelchairs could, I could push them around, or they could push themselves. But like when you get to steep hills and things, I could take over and help them get up the hill or whatever. And it's a pretty nice environment, and they could literally meet me there. They could catch a cab to the location, and I just meet them there, and then we go for a walk, and then that would be nice. Maybe I could do some art therapy with them as well, or the mindfulness, exercises. It all depends on what they want to do themselves. They might just be happy um, having a chat or not even speaking. So I'm happy to be there and just allow them to be in nature and get to see the environment and then have an experience for a few hours. Um, and they're often quite independent. Um, so that's where they can organise their own transport there, and then um, I take over from there, and then I just wait until they get get picked up again to go home. So that would be a really nice aspect to what I want to do with my business. Um, it's a difficult thing though, because to do this course, it would require so many hours a week. It only goes for a few months, but it's I have to seriously think about whether I've got the time to do it. Um, so that'll be a decision I make this week, I think. So I did a stream earlier today, actually, and it was me talking about this dream idea that I have for starting like this sort of not-for-profit charity that helps people start their life again. And it focuses on very vulnerable people as the core people that are the main people that it's purpose for. But the idea is that this would be open to a much broader intake of people that wanted to go through a major life change and are needing that life change. So it would sort of base itself on having the criteria for intake would be initially only the most vulnerable, and then as it grew, as it had capacity, it would then open up to a much broader intake of people. Be more open towards, so almost anyone could sign up to do this. I'm really excited for that. It's something I've been thinking about for years, and I had people that were interested in being board members of it, and then the interest dropped off. So um, that's not. I'm not going to give up on it just because of that. I'll just find other people. But it is crucial that the founding board members want to really help make it happen, and they also have to have special skills to bring to the organization to help make it happen. Um, which is why I picked them. And then, so it's not too late. They may still come on board. It's just it's a lot for someone to take on a role like that, becoming a board member of a not for profit. Um, but if it was done in a way where it didn't inflict their personal life or their work life too much, yeah, it could be it could happen. And I've had a lot of interest from people. which is great since I did that video. So that's really encouraging. It was quite interesting actually. Like, I was falling asleep. Like, I'd been awake. I hadn't had much sleep the day before. Actually, I had decent sleep, but still wasn't much. And then obviously I'd been up all night, and then that was in the morning the next day. And talking about something like that, I don't know how long it went for, an hour and a half, or it went over an hour. The mental energy that I was going through and talking about the topic and trying to express it in a clear way, I literally was falling asleep towards the end of the video. Like, I don't know, I'll have to watch it back again and look at myself, because I just remember catching myself closing my eyes and falling asleep, because I was so emotionally, because it is something I was been thinking about for so long, and it being something that I conceptualize and dream about. So when you dream and conceptualize about something complicated or complex, you're creating these structures in your brain, and then you're also, if you apply a lot of emotion to it, and then talk about it in a holistic way, where you're trying to explain how it would work. And I literally just had the deepest sleep. I just fell asleep straight away afterwards, and it was comfortable sleep. I didn't have nightmares or anything like that. I had a really comfortable sleep. So it was really nice. And I'm excited to actually keep working on this. So one of the subscribers challenged me in the comment, said, all right, you've got to do this. I did this. Like, I made all these wreaths, right? You got to do this now. And so she said, you got to start fill out the paperwork next week. And so I said, yep, challenge accepted. So I've been following for, a while now. There's an organization in my city that are specifically set up to help charities and not-for-profits go through the process of setting up a charter, or setting up a setting up a not-for-profit, or a business with charitable status. So you can be a business that has charitable status, or you can be a not-for-profit, or an incorporated entity. There's various different versions of what you can do, and I've been watching all their YouTube videos and reading stuff they've got on their website, and I've been meaning to get in contact with them for a while to talk about my concept. And so she challenged me to do the paperwork this week, and it's too early to do the paperwork because I need to have the board members before I can go any further. And so I keep working on the plan and the concept, and it's time to contact this organization, which I've been meaning to do. And so what I'll do this week is I'll contact them tomorrow, and I'll organize a meeting with them where I'll explain what I want to do, and that they'll give me advice of what to do next, and what options I have. So that's pretty exciting. So someone challenged me to do something about it, and I was like, well, now I have to. So that's what I'm going to do now. Is I'm going to. They're pretty cool. They're called Right Source. They work with all the not-for-profits and charities, and um, help them to grow and um, deal with the bureaucracy, and help them make decisions and things like that. And their YouTube channel's full of like really great videos that's educated me a lot about all the aspects to this whole process. And now it's about time I actually did something about it. So that's another thing I'm going to do this week. So exercise, contact Right Source, and get a interview set up. I've got to finish the book and do book club tomorrow or the next day. So sorry, it's not book club tonight. It just means that it's in the next 2 days. And so to anyone who's read the book and was expecting tonight to be talking about book club, I'm very sorry. It's just how it turned out this week. So I'm looking forward to finishing the book. Part of the reason why I didn't finish it is because I'm still finishing another book, which has got to go back to the library. So that's been an aspect too. Like I was reading, and then I sort of dropped off reading, and then as soon as I did that, it things backed up, and I this is the result. I didn't get to do book club tonight, so it's still going to happen. It's just going to happen in a few days. I'm enjoying doing these live streams. Like it's a community, and we the beauty about the streams is like different times we talk about different things. Sometimes we're just having a chat about whatever, all different stuff, and then other times we're talking deep about a subject. And that we did that on Saturday. It was a big talk about narcissism, and it was a good conversation. Went for like 4.5 hours, almost 5 hours. So like I've said recently, that I don't know what streaming I'll be doing in the next couple of months. It might drop right off. It might just be once a week. It might be more often, but short 20-minute streams that, randomly, I might just randomly go, yep, I'll start streaming. And then, so usually I plan and have a notification. So it's a day or two before the stream so that people know it's going to be on. And if I start doing these random streams, people won't know until it's like, unless they check their YouTube and it pops up. So, and that was sort of the intention with the getting the, tripod mount for my phone, so I can start doing those sorts of streams. So maybe you'll see one of that tomorrow, or the next day you'll see me clean a room, which might be a boring idea, but I've watched streams of people do it, of that, and it's encouraging. It gives you a reason to do it yourself, or at least you're seeing someone else being proactive about making their living environment better, or working towards a goal, and that'll open up opportunities. I'll have my art desk back, and it's not just an art desk, it's a work desk. So yeah, it's going to be good. What else? Um, it's the end of the year already. How quickly has this year gone? You know, I look back at, if I was to go back through it all now and just think about the things that I've achieved, it's pretty phenomenal. So I've written about 250 poems, of which I'll probably reduce down to about 170 or 180 to put in the book. And I've only made 4 sunset videos and 1 sunrise one. I was meant to have done, 20 by now, 20 or 30 of them, maybe not 30, 20 of them. But that all dropped off over the last few months while I was going through all that difficulty. So I'll get back to that. I'm doing well with my caring role. I'm, once a week I'll sort of sleep in a few hours, and Dad will have to be up later. But that's only once a week. Besides, I mean, when I'm basically doing this 7 days a week, that's not too bad, And there have been difficulties with if I have to then be on call during the day when I'm meant to be sleeping, that disrupts my sleeping pattern, and that's happened a couple of days each week for the last month or so. And whenever that happens, it sort of takes a few days to get over it. So I think maybe, cutting alcohol out completely. I mean, I'm not drinking much, but the body does respond a lot better when you've got no alcohol in your system. Exercise, yes, exercise. That's my big thing. I've got a list of stuff to do this week already. I haven't written them down on my thing, but I'll get a clear page so that when we start chatting, I can put my suggestions down. And everyone's enjoying just listening to me talk at the moment. So this is, doing these self-reflection of what I've been doing and thinking about it and recapitulating, and it's such a positive thing for me to do. It might turn people away when they come to these videos because I do it at the beginning of the video, so they might click on it and go, what's he talking about? He's just talking about all this stuff he's doing during the week. Eventually I get onto a topic, and there really was no topic for today. It was just, hopefully we just start talking and, get the chat going. So maybe I can think about some questions to ask. I'm really inspired by a friend of mine who I've seen the artwork that she makes, and it's really inspiring. I appreciate that she shared with me her journal books, and I really can't wait for this person to be able to get back to making art themselves in a regularly. I really look forward to that, and I can't wait for them to be able to do that. and I appreciate our friendship a lot. And I've had a few nice conversations with Mum too, talking about just reminiscing about things. And I said to her yesterday, I said, Mum, is it all right if I set up my audio recorder and we talk about some of these stories? And she was really excited with that. She thought that was a great idea. And she did the same thing for her own mother, when she was in the same situation. Um, and uh, so hopefully tonight I'll get that opportunity to just press record and chat. Only if she's in the right space to do it. But I've got that opportunity to do that now, so I should have been doing this over the last few months, but I can't dwell on the fact that I didn't. I've just got to do it as much as I can now, and they'll be cherished things to have. Because one thing with memories of Mum is she's always told me all the stories, the interesting stories about her growing up in a little country town, and um, how different everything was. And um, there's a lot of really funny stories too. Like one that she used to tell me all the time was when electricity came to town. So she was there before electricity, and the everyone had kerosene lamps, and when electricity came to town, everyone had gone out and bought appliances, washing machines and kettles. There wasn't too many appliances that were available, lamps, kettles, washing machines, mixers, and um, the whole town had like a ceremony where they all brought their kerosene lamps down to the local tip, and they all threw them into the tip, made a pile of kerosene lamps and threw them away because they don't need them anymore. And then they all went home, and the power had just been switched on, and so everyone went, okay, now we get to use our electricity, and they all turned all their lights on and their mixers and their washing machines and stuff, and they all did it at the same time, and it overloaded the system, and then they were in a blackout. And they didn't have their lamps because they threw them away. I always laugh at that story. I used to always think, why would you throw them away anyway? Like, I've got two kerosene lamps. I love them. I used to use them when I go camping and stuff. They last forever. So they were dangerous. They used to cause a lot of fires and stuff. And but saying that, they're pretty safe, especially if you got a good one. Um, so she's got lots and lots of stories to tell me about life in a tiny country town. Um, so I'm going to try and do that tonight or over the next couple of weeks. So I'm glad I did that stream this morning where I talked about this charity idea, and I do have people who are interested in working on it with me, and so I'm going to start having weekly meetings with people. I've already written a whole large portion of the charter. MJG says beautiful moment. Aisha says that's beautiful. And MJG says, yeah, beautiful moment with your mother. It will be. It will be. I look forward to it. I'm going to try it tonight. So she got to have some visitors today, which was nice. And Dad got to go visit his friend this afternoon for a few hours. I try and make sure that he's getting self-care, and so I encourage him to go have a meal at the tavern once a week or twice a week. Or I guess I'm the one who's not really doing it enough for myself. Like, I was meant to go watch the sunset twice a week or 3 times a week, and I just haven't even. That dropped right off. So that's another thing I'll try and do this week. The rain was a big aspect. It just rained for weeks. Um, you know, I'm going to look at the forecast right now to see what. Yep, we got two 2 days of showers and then 3 days of showers and cloudy. So most of the week's not going to be good for watching sunsets. But that's not going to stop me. I'll just go for walks or something. I will definitely make sure after attempting for so long, I have to actually get through with this. So I'm sitting here talking about myself. Like, how's everyone else going? Like, I know that all the people that I chat with, they got a lot going on, and you know, I'm thinking about you all, and it's inspiring for me seeing other people's courage and strength. It reminds me I need to be keeping doing what I'm doing. So I appreciate the friendship connections that have been um, able to happen with this channel, and so I appreciate you all. And I look back at this last week and I go, yeah, I did succeed with a lot of stuff. I did 2 mindfulness lessons, and I got my insurance, lots of things. So I've got to be happy with what I've got, and I'm grateful. So I can't thank you all enough. Aisha says celebrate those moments. Thank you, Aisha. Totally. I will. And I'm getting I've done the research and on what video conferencing software I get, so that for my doing my mindfulness training. At the moment, I'm doing it over Instagram, which works fine through their video chat. But if I do, I need to pay for there's Zoom, there's Google Meet, and there's Microsoft Teams, and they all are pretty similar, and they all are about the same price. And it's probably Microsoft and Google are the two best ones, because they come with extra bonus applications, and I'm sort of leaning towards Google Meet. So when I've got that, I'll be able to, how cool will this be? I'll be able to set up video streams where people can join the video stream, and I stream it to my channel. So, we can have, like, it's not just me chatting now. We can have conversations where people can, instead of typing in the comments, they can speak, and you don't have to have your camera on if you don't want to be on camera. You can just, have voice on. And it'll be streamed to the YouTube channel anyway, so you don't have to go to the Google Meet stream. You could just go to the YouTube channel and continue with that. So how cool is that? Like, and that means, because I want to do interviews on this channel, I've already got a list of people I want to interview, like authors. And I know a friend of mine is wanting to set up a podcast and do something similar, but I'm specifically wanting to just do interviews with particular people, so it's a whole different thing. And so what maybe I'll be able to share with her stuff that I learn about how to do it all, and then it can help her. And then as she starts her podcast, she can do the same and give me advice about what I need to do and things like that. But yeah, definitely, I think a necessary requirement is paying for a conference software, because that allows you to have high quality and record and have multiple people in the chat in the stream. And I've picked Google Meet because it comes with like the calendar booking system. So when I start doing mindfulness training through the internet in the next few months, when I start doing that as a business, I'll be able to just use that to book. People can book a session through the calendar, and I can just have it set up through PayPal or whatever, or direct deposit, and then I don't need to worry about some complex e-commerce system for like websites and things like that. So it works good for that, for the business aspect. The other aspect too is the Google gives you a email address with your domain name. So if I set up a domain name, it'll be that instead of Gmail. So I think I made my decision as to who to go with. Microsoft Teams is pretty good. It works really well. Um, but I think Google's one because it comes with lots of features. So, but yeah, interviews, that's something I want to do. I've already got a list of people I want to interview. And I don't know, what do you what do people think? You know, would you like for me to interview people? Um, I'd like to do that, and I want to interview someone from the Trauma Foundation in Australia that I get a lot of help from. Blue Knot. I haven't approached them yet, but I'm sure someone from there would happily have an interview with me, and we can talk about trauma and healing from trauma. There's people that have written books. They're a little bit more difficult, maybe, because they already do interviews all the time. They might charge money to do an interview, but because my channel's not monetized, they might, say, look, I won't charge you for the interview because you're not making money out of this. So that might give me an opportunity to interview some interesting people. I'm trying to find the page where in my book, it's got the list. Doesn't really matter that much if I find it or not. But yeah, interviews. Interviews will be something that I like to do, and people from the channel as well. I have a friend who wants to be interviewed, and I'll approach a couple of people that come to the channel that are members of the channel that are part of this whole thing. That and you can be anonymous. We can do it where we don't say your name, and with the video software, you can easily obscure your picture, or you can even have no picture at all. I could be talking to a picture, like a photograph. Because obviously not everyone wants to be identified. If they want to talk about stuff that's very personal, and there's ways of changing your voice a little bit so that it's not your, again, that all comes down to the individual as to whether they want to do that. Some people would be happy to be on camera. So yeah, interviews will be something in the new year, that maybe once every 2 weeks or something like that, there'll be an interview. And that's something I'll be able to do once I've got the Google Meet. It'll allow me to pre-record or do live stream interviews even. So I can set up the Google Meet and send it to YouTube to stream. But I think for most people, they'd want to pre-record. These are all things I'm thinking about. I'm constantly thinking about how this channel is going to evolve and change, and where I want it to go. And I want it to be not just so much about me. I want it to be about yourself, like what you want, and what ideally something that would benefit you. So not not wholly or whatever. Obviously, it's very much personal to me. This channel it's about me. It's my channel. But at the same time, I want it to be about. I want this co-creation thing going on where we share stuff, and that's where we could have meetups where people can join the stream with their camera and their video and their chat if they want, and they can also join it and not have their camera on. So Conan says, my uncle just tried to kiss me. That's not cool at all, dude. That's not cool at all, man. I'm sorry that's what's going on in your life right now. Fight back. That's what you do in those situations. Are you sure? Says, I think interviews can be helpful in self-healing and being in real life survivors, mutual support. Absolutely. So look, you've talked about wanting to start a podcast. So, would you be willing to do an interview with me? Maybe. Are you sure? No pressure. No pressure. So, but yeah, definitely. But even we could have like monthly meetups where we have like the Zoom chats where like there's everyone's on the screen, and it's the same as this, except instead of just me sitting here, the only one who's talking, other people could have an opportunity to. Are you sure? Has got the worried face. I understand, but see, look, if it'd be good practice for you, to interview other people. So we could have an interview about the podcast you're making. So that's what the whole subject matter could be, like making your podcast and how you're going about setting it up and um, planning it and stuff. And we don't have to talk about the intricacies of the actual podcast itself because that's your intellectual property. So we could make it so that you're not giving away what the podcast is until you launch it yourself. So it could be a thing where it's inspiring other people who are wanting to, because there are several people that come to the channel that have mentioned they want to start their own. There's two other people who've said they want to start their own YouTube channel, or three actually. There's three, and they've mentioned how they want to. They don't know how they're going to do it, and they're wondering what they're going to do, and they've got a theme, they've got an idea of what they want it to be about, and so that could be the topic that we talk about is the process of creating a blog and a podcast and a thing, and we don't have to talk about specifically what the actual theme and topic of the podcast is, because that's your intellectual property that you want to release to the internet when you're ready to launch your thing. Yeah, Conan says, yeah, what the F is that? This is one of two moments now. All I can say, Conan, is like remove yourself from the situation, get as far away from this person as possible. Let them know it's not appropriate, and yeah, that it's not cool, man. It's obviously traumatic and it's abuse. So I think you're in a very difficult situation. This is happening for you right now. So um, being clear, vocal about it is can be enough to stop it. But yeah, just keep your distance and uh, make sure other people around you know. So it's not just you and him that know this. Make sure tell other people and that it's not appropriate and it's that's just wrong. So I'm sorry to hear that this is what you're going through. Kind of says, yeah, bro. Kind of says, I'm good, I'm chilling, but like, bro, he's fine. He thought it was mutual. That's see, yeah. It doesn't matter what they think. That oh well, it does matter, but it doesn't matter. Like what they think is it's that's wrong. So they can't. There's no excuse. Yeah, he's kind of says he's my dad's brother. I told him no. He understood. Yeah, that's good. You did you were vocal about it, you know, and you just said no. And hopefully that's enough for it to stop. But then stay strong and don't let it happen again. Kind of says puzzle pieces, you know. Totally. Yeah, it's a complicated situation. I mean, this person's confused, and it's obviously wrong what they did. Yeah, it will ruin my family. Aisha says, "You're brave, Conan." Conan says, "I'm so fearful, Luke. It's all good, man. My dad has issues with stuff like that. Do what you can, man. Do what you can to sort it out." I'm going to take a quick break, but like, it's better I probably take a break now and then come back and then keep, 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 keep talking, Conan. We'll work through this with you, mate. Yeah, look, um, this thing happens in a lesser extent for people who aren't related, right? Like they untoward attention and it also happens, I don't know the intricacies of this situation, what what age difference there is, like that obviously makes it worse. I don't know all that stuff, that the situation, but it's wrong. You've made it clear that it's wrong, and this person's understood. They probably are feeling some guilt and shame. They're probably worried that you're going to take it further and go to the rest of the family, and maybe you should. And not necessarily the whole family. Maybe you request a meeting with your father and this person, and you sit down and you say, this is what happened, it's wrong, don't do this again. And you just leave it at that. It's that's something that you could do. Don't take my advice. It's merely a suggestion. But that would mean that you're not actually involving the whole family. It's specifically between then your uncle and your dad, and then that way they can then privately talk about it and sort it out. It's highly inappropriate, and it should not continue. Exactly, it says it will ruin my family. That is the fear, and this person's obviously fearing that. It's already done its damage. You're not going to want to be around this person in any situation now, and even if you are, you're going to only want to be there when there's several other people in the room. The damage has been done already. It could get much worse. On the positive side, it was not as severe as it could have been. I'm not saying it's not a form of assault, or I'm not saying it's not that. I'm saying it's lucky that you got to stop it. It's lucky that it wasn't any worse than what it was. That's what I'm trying to say. If it does cause major problems in your family, it's not your fault. It's his fault. So he did this. It's forcing you to go through all this stuff now. So Aisha says you're brave, Conan. Conan says, I'm so fearful, Luke. It's all good, man. My dad has issues with this stuff like that. With stuff like that. Maybe. Thank you, Aisha. Conan continues again. I agree, but I see things from a different perspective. Yeah, totally. It's your perspective. See, it's hard for any of us to really see any of this from your perspective. Is you're the one who had this happen to you, so you must be in shock. There's betrayed. uneasy, hurt. There's so many things, and how it's going to affect ongoing. It's really difficult. Conan says he's really drunk, so I get why. Yeah, it's no excuse though. You know, people use that as an excuse. Like, look, alcohol does cause people to. They say it lowers inhibitions, but I also believe it can cause psychosis, and it can cause um, very horrible behaviors. And it can't, like, it's a factor, but it's not an excuse. So for starters, this person should sober up. If they're doing this and they're drinking and they're doing this, they have to stop drinking. Or they have to, like, reduce their drinking. It's no excuse. Conan says, I don't think he'll try that. Last time was different. I won't go into detail. So, okay, so it wasn't the first time that this has happened. So that makes it even worse, Conan. So it wasn't just an accident. It wasn't just like this person went too far. This person has a problem. And it's your problem now because of the way it's affecting you. So you're very strong, and you're very you're approaching this with a a very clear perspective, and you're rationalizing it as much as you possibly can. Things like this, you try to rationalize and you can't, because it's horrible, and it's something you don't expect. It's a betrayal of trust, and it's affected your life from that moment on, and obviously something else has happened in the past, so it's not the first time. So there's a history there. um, it seems like something formal has to happen, an intervention where um, he has to be taken to account, held to account, sorry. So it could be mediation with someone like your father, and that would be a way of stopping it at this point. But I don't know what the other thing was. So the other thing might have been worse. So um, maybe you have to take it further than just mediation. But yeah, you don't have to go into details about the last time. I can imagine there was some other thing, that if this isn't just the first time. Conan, don't worry at all. This is what this channel has opportunity for people to open up about this stuff, and when it happens, we're all here for you, and we're listening in empathy, and we want to try and help in any way we can. So don't be sorry for dropping this on us, at all. Aisha says, are you safe? That's a really good question. And Conan says, yeah, absolutely. So that's good to know. Conan says he has control. This is an uncommon thing. So, I mean, that's a positive sign that it this is a rare occurrence. That you can't excuse the fact that he was drunk, but um, these things do make it a little bit easier to think about how you approach resolution. You know, so Conan says my dad mentioned he's seen one time he had mags of trans men way back. So he's conflicted with stuff, sexuality wise, and so he'd be ashamed of what he's done. In maybe in some ways, yeah. I don't. In some respects, the fact that it was not as severe as what he did, at least that allows you to be less traumatized by it all, and it gives you an opportunity. Maybe now that you've mentioned that he may have this conflicted thing going on, um, it doesn't excuse his behavior. Um, MJG says, "Good Conan. I take care with the heart. Totally." Conan says, "I said I know something about him, and my dad said he didn't want to hear it." So there you go. So like you mentioned before, that it was that okay. So you that's it. So you said when you mentioned it to your dad, he didn't want to hear it, and you also mentioned previous to that your dad had mentioned to you that he'd come across um, these trans magazines, right? So he didn't want to hear it because of that aspect, and so. But the thing is that your dad doesn't know what's gone on. So approach that maybe like again, you can't take my advice. They're just suggestions. Could you sit down with your dad and say, "Look, I need to speak to you. This is very serious, and I know that you don't want to hear this stuff, but you have to listen to me." And then sit down and then explain that you're both aware of this conflicting thing that's going on, and that's when you can tell him about what happened, and you clearly state your needs and your feelings, that you feel hurt and betrayed. You need to know that you're safe. You need to know he's not going to do this again, but also have empathy and compassion towards this person and try and understand their situation, even though they've done something wrong. So, um, not just him, also your father. So make sure you express to your father that you understand that it's important for him to actually have resolution with this, that this is something that is troubling him, and that that you understand that it's upsetting for him, and that's why he doesn't want to talk about it, and it's upsetting for several reasons, and that he needs to listen to you, because your feelings are important, not only to you, but they impact everyone in this situation. And also then acknowledge the uncle that has done this thing, and empathize with him, and understand that he's clearly got some conflicted things going on, but he's going about everything in the wrong way. So he's doing what he shouldn't be doing. And you can do that initially, just you and your father. You sit down and you make sure you clearly express your needs of feeling safe and having resolution to this situation, and express the fact that you understand the position that your father's in, why he doesn't want to listen to it, but then reiterate that you need him to listen to you, because it's very important to you for your own safety. That will then give him an opportunity to understand that even if he doesn't want to hear it, he has to go past that and sit down and listen to you, because all he's doing is making up excuses and avoiding the situation. And if you can express to him that you understand his position in regards to his brother, that also and without judgment, like, you don't want to create accusations or make your father feel guilty for neglecting you or pushing you aside. You want to allow them to just be comfortable enough to accept the fact they have to listen to you, and that they actually have an opportunity to not just help you, but help his brother as well at the same time. And then possibly you could sit down, all three of you, or he and his brother sit down and have that conversation. And it has to be once your father understands what he needs to do in order to approach the situation, it will actually give opportunity to get to a resolution, because it is very easy to make judgments and accusations because of what this person's done. He's done something wrong. Maybe you can empathize that he's conflicted, he's confused. That's no excuse. It making it clear how serious the situation is, without judgment or threats, you know. So still having it as like an observation of what is going on, you have to make it clear so they understand what they're actually, how severe what it is that they've done, but giving them the opportunity to reflect on it, and then they can then by making it clear what not only your position is, what your needs are, and how your feelings have been hurt, what your father's needs are, and how he's stuck in between all this and how he's hurt. Not making it accusations, but just making it clear what you need to do. So from what I've learned from conflict resolution is once both parties understand and expressed empathy towards each other's needs. So you have to understand that this person is conflicted, and for you both to, or even just him to acknowledge that, is very powerful for this person, because then that could be a big relief for them, and then they could understand, well, maybe that they need to do something about it to move on, and this won't happen again. So if it comes from a position of accusations or judgments, that's going to put them on the back foot, and they're going to feel bad about what they've done. Obviously, they already are feeling bad about what they've done, or they're fearful of ramifications. But if you go from a perspective of empathizing their position, even if it's not right, but also expressing your needs, and then finding out what their needs are. So, think about this. For this person to do this, what unmet needs is causing this person to do this? So this person is conflicted and hasn't expressed himself with his own sexuality, right? And is having troubles, and is now feeling guilty about making bad decisions about actions. It's not still very bad what this person did, but not necessarily judging them, trying to look at the underlying, what this person needs is to actually sort out their own problems, and then not put those problems onto you. And then the same thing can be between you and your father, working out that conflict because he doesn't want to listen to you. And then through your father and your uncle, they can have the same thing. Or the three of you can actually all sit down together and go through this process together. And the key then is to, once each party has expressed their needs and their feelings, and empathize with each other so that you clearly understand what the other person needs. And if they don't express it, you have to find out what it is. So it might involve asking your uncle a bunch of questions to really find out what is it that is the problem. What is this unmet need? And it's clearly he's conflicted about stuff, and he's going about it in the wrong way. So he's causing problems because he's not, he's not doing things the right way. And so and he has to acknowledge that his actions are wrong. So he has to, the only judgment really should be he judges his own actions and then shows self-compassion by correcting his actions in an appropriate way. So once everyone, whether it's the three of you or you can do this separately, just you and your dad, or your dad and your uncle, or the three of you, each party has to express and understand each other's position and acknowledge it. So you understand that whatever, you're clear about their position and what it is, and then you try and everyone tries to meet each other's needs through something that is actionable. And it could be as simple as no contact. It could be that he goes and gets therapy. It could be that he formally apologizes and makes sure that, promises that this will never happen again, and that so once you work out what the problems are, then you have a request. So you could have a request of your uncle. Your request could be, you need to go see a therapist and talk about this, or your request could be no contact, or because of this situation, you don't feel safe being around this person alone. Only be around this person when there is a third person in the room. The father might say, I want an apology for what you did, and I need assurance that you're not going to do this again and that you're going to sort yourself out. And then, like, the uncle could be, well, wanting forgiveness. So their need could be to be forgiven and given another chance. So they could be remorseful and then ask for forgiveness. If then once you work out what the actionable when I say actionable, they're things that can be done straight away. They're not like I promise something, possibly in the future. They've got to be things that are actionable. Otherwise, you don't come to a resolution. So it could be goes and sees a psychologist or a therapist next week, or books an appointment straight away. Not says I'm going to get help. No, they have to actually prove and show that they can do it, and not a week's time, 2 weeks' time, do it the next day. And that would alleviate, because you know that this person's actually making a conscious effort to change their behavior. So there are ways to resolve complicated issues like this, and the key to it is expressing your needs and being able to clarify your understanding of each other's needs. Now, in this situation, it's not like both parties are fighting each other. It's really he's done something bad, and you're in a position where you're more so trying to resolve it and somehow give him clemency or forgiveness. For him to achieve that, he has to do something about it. So he has to action it through getting therapy or doing something about it. He can't just say sorry. It's beyond that. He can't just say I won't do it again. So it could be like going to a substance abuse, like Alcoholics Anonymous type thing, and also going to a therapist about his sexual issues that he's got. And he has to be open about it too with them. He can't just say, oh, he's got problems. He's got to own up to like what it is and so part of your needs is for the severity of the situation to be understood and respected. That it's not something trivial. So I hope that's helped. Because it is a complicated thing. Clearly, this person's done something horrible and wrong. It's not necessarily forgivable straight away. If anything, that makes it easier. It could have been much worse what he did. So, at least in that respect, it gives you the opportunity to actually show compassion towards the fact that this person's disturbed and conflicted. And it doesn't give him any excuses. It just means that the severity of the situation, because it could have been much worse than what it was, it actually gives this person an opportunity to work out their problems in an appropriate way. But they can't just say they're going to not do it again. They have to do something about it. And that could be Alcoholics Anonymous and seeing a psychologist or a therapist to work through these issues that they have so that they don't ever happen again. So MJG says, yeah, good Conan, take care. That's responding to the fact that Conan's doing all right and that Conan's safe. So that's made us all feel a lot better. Conan said, I know something about him, and my dad said he didn't want it. Yeah, that's right. I read that one. Excuse me. Conan says it's a different feeling. I know he won't force himself, but it's uncomfortable. I'm also male, so I don't know. It's different, maybe. I doubt it will get worse. I think maybe because you've been clear about it and vocal, and this person will be ashamed. Hopefully, they're ashamed for what they did, and they will also be fearful that you will um, go to your father about it. They will fear retribution or it going to the rest of the family and then causing major problems. So um, those things will cause this person to likely stop what they're doing. It has to be addressed, and for not just for your sake, but also for this person's sake. Um, and it is painful, obviously, like you said. You were assaulted. You have to acknowledge that it was um, assault, sexual assault, and um, he's lucky that it wasn't worse than what it was, but that doesn't take away from how traumatic it was. So, um, Conan says he drank too much and he's in the closet, so it's still inappropriate. I agree completely, Luke. Yeah. Yeah, it is, it's a complicated thing, you know. Um, Conan says, I think my family has a curse. They talked about it before. Yeah, that's difficult. Conan says it's more like who am I even? Yeah, well, it does create massive dissonance. It's terribly confronting. And I can empathize with that. I was sexually assaulted by both male and female growing up, and it's very disturbing. And I got a lot of bullying and people questioning my sexuality, and it still affects me today. So it caused me to self-harm. I don't. The thing is, people that um, it's one thing for people to be um, not comfortable in their own sexuality and not be able to express it, and it's another thing for people to question your sexuality and use it as a form of emotional abuse and harassment. And that's what I get. And so I've had that most of my life, and it is horrible. It affects you in so many levels, and it's disappointing as well when people do that. It's and people don't understand how much of a form of an abuse it is. It literally pushed me to the point of self-inflicted injury. You know, the way people would treat me. So it affects your confidence too. So then opportunities that you may have had with relationships or relationships or I've never been able to have really casual relationships. So I have this sort of want for a meaningful long-term relationship, but I do understand that things have to be casual in a nature to actually become long-term. But when your confidence is broken down because of other people's perceptions of you, that's horrible. And if they actually do it in an overt way, like they like attack you, literally attack you with it, it's sexual harassment, it's emotional abuse, and yeah, it's horrible. So yeah, being assaulted by the same sex has caused me to question sexuality, but I've thought about it a lot, and if I was attracted to the same sex, I would say so. I'm not afraid to. I'm comfortable in my sexuality, but it really messes your head up, and you got to think that it's not your fault. What happened to you is that these people push these things on you, and often they're conflicted themselves. So that doesn't excuse what they're doesn't excuse at all. And like I'm done empathizing with the people that are abusive towards me. I don't have any time for them anymore. Like I would generally just not respond, and I don't respond because any response could be seen as being aggressive, and I'm a very passive person, so I just basically don't respond. Sometimes it gets me so upset that I do respond, and most of the time I'm just shocked, because I go into a trauma response because it takes me back to the abuse. And this is the thing that people don't understand is when they're saying these horrible things to you, they're perpetuating the abuse that happened to you when you were younger. So, like, they're complicit in the horrible deeds that were done all those years ago that are still causing you pain today. So it really shows them as being very nasty. Sadly, it's a very common thing, and it's probably one of the most common forms of speculation or rumor that humans have, is to question people's sexuality. It's a form of abuse and domination. It's sadistic in nature, really, and it's used to suppress people and keep people submissive, and people that know that it has an effect, if they're narcissists, they'll use it just to know that they can inflict emotional pain on someone. So we live in a really horrible world where it's full of narcissists and sadists that get off on inflicting emotional pain on each other, you know. So hopefully the future is going to be more people being more compassionate and kind towards each other, I hope. And I'll tell you that both sexes equally do this practice. So it's a human thing. It's not a gender thing. So I understand how it's painful for you, man. But seriously, but you're not alone. Um, yeah, that comment, it's more like, who am I even? That's the thing. It's the sad thing is that it causes dissonance. It causes you to you know, not only sexually, but just like causes you to question how you allow yourself to be preyed upon. You know, are you someone that is easily taken advantage of? And I know that essentially I'm like that, and that's why I close myself off to protect myself, because I'm so naive and gullible and people pleasing that, you know, it sets me up for being taken advantage of and being abused, and so it doesn't stop me still having faith in generally in people, but the amount of times that I've put faith in other people and then they've gone and hurt me or taken advantage of me or whatever, then each time that happens, it just gets, I close myself off more and more, you know. I put trust in people and then they erode that trust, or they abuse it. They take me for a ride. They take advantage of me. And so it's sad because it means I spend more time alone. You know, it's, if it wasn't for this community here, I wouldn't speak much words at all except to my immediate family, you know, because I've closed myself off from social groups and friends, and I just don't speak anymore. So this gift, that's why I can sit here for 4.5 hours speaking, because I don't get a chance to speak normally. And it's sad. That's why I appreciate you all so much. And it says, yeah, he has a problem with alcohol and has for a long time. Sorry, it's in the family. Yeah, it does make it difficult. You know, alcohol is a bigger problem for all that stuff. So, and that's why I sort of suggested in the conflict resolution is that um, for him, two things would be therapy and alcohol abuse, or rehab for the alcohol. Get that under control or cut it out completely. Conan says, I've known this, it's difficult. He suffered brain injury in his youth. Yeah. So that's another layer too. Okay. So brain injuries are very painful things. They can cause behavioral changes. And in a lot of cases they do, because of even if the brain injury heals, it's an invisible injury. They live with the fear that other people perceive them differently. They live with the fear that it's going to give them dementia, or it's given them brain damage. But the brain can heal. It's amazing how, just having complex post-traumatic stress disorder is a brain injury, because it creates developmental issues, and it's not an injury that's inflicted by trauma, like a blunt trauma, like physical trauma. It's inflicted by emotional trauma. So it affects the development of the brain. The good news is, for both acquired brain injuries and arrested development or developmental issues that arise from severe trauma as a child, both can be overcome through activating the brain through neuroplasticity. And that requires doing things, learning new things, because the brain grows. It's amazing how much, people can have half their brain removed, and they can adapt to specialized brain function that is lacking, because those areas of the brain don't exist anymore. What happens is other parts of the brain learn to mimic the function that these specialized regions did. That's how powerful neuroplasticity is that it's almost like the brain can rewrite software, even though they don't have the hardware there. Essentially, they can write new software to mimic the hardware, like a virtual machine, if you think of it like computers. And then they can run this new software and adapt to being able to function again. It's not going to be the same, but it's going to be very close. So, yes, brain injury, that's another thing, and maybe he needs to work on that too. But that might not necessarily be something that you bring up in this conflict resolution. That could be something to talk about further down the track. It could be too sensitive to bring up. So Conan says it's more just mind-blowing that he's tried it. Just a confusing thing. Yeah, absolutely. It's look, it's irrational. It's to try and understand it is just going to cause you a lot of pain. And each time you try and understand why, it's going to get worse and worse. So you can't necessarily accept it. It's too much to accept. So one way to get past it is to focus on maybe what you can do to help him, help your father, help yourself, and stop the situation from ever happening again. Conan says, so we were swimming and I had life jacket on and that was giving me a wedgie, let's say, and I felt him trying to grab me. I don't mind going into detail. Originally, I thought it was my imagination. Yeah, see, look, it sounds like that sounds like it's getting towards a form of sexual assault. So it's sounding a little bit more serious, that you have to do something about this now. And Kona says, now I know it's true. He has an issue with it. Right, exactly. So you're responding to me as I was talking. So unfortunately, it seems to be his default. He likes living within illusions. Yeah. Yeah, this is a very difficult situation you're dealing with right now, and it's a lot more complicated than, you know. It sounds like there's obviously a history there. You've thought a lot about what's going on. It's causing a lot of emotional pain within the family dynamic. Something has to be done about it, definitely. Conan says, Luke, I truly think if I just keep this to myself, it won't happen again. I feel if I bring this up with my dad, it will seriously ruin things. Look, again, I can't give you advice. I can make suggestions. So if you don't say anything, what happens if it happens again? You know, you're going to regret not doing anything about it. On the other side, if you do something about it and there is a positive resolution that happens out of this, so he goes to rehab, gets his alcohol under control, he goes to a therapist and talks about his sexual issues, that could be a positive thing for everyone. You know, inappropriate behavior is not acceptable. So that's, and it's not just one time this has happened. This has happened at least on 2 occasions and maybe more. And it's clearly, you know, the fact that your father's not wanting to talk about it, right? Maybe he knows a lot more that he doesn't want to talk about. So, you know, sometimes letting things rest can be the answer. And there is the fear that by, you know, doing something about it is going to make it way worse. But, you know, you can write all this stuff down, write down the pros, the cons, possible outcomes. And then you can look at it and go, well, if you don't do anything and he does it again, this is really bad. What if he does it to someone else? You know? You know, again, like if he's living with turmoil, if he could come to a resolution within himself, that would be a better thing too. You know, none of this would happen, you know. Yeah, I know it's true. He has an issue with that. Right, exactly. I think that I could have been talking about the any of those things I was talking about before. Unfortunately, Conan continues. It seems to be his default. He likes living within illusions. Yes, that seems to be a problem. You know, so people that are, I wouldn't say delusional, but like people that um, it's very common for people to actually just not accept things and live in denial of things. You know, so um, if that's something that he does, then this is where these problems can arise because it's allowing him to act out and do things that are inappropriate because he doesn't have clear boundaries of what is appropriate and what's not appropriate. And and this can be rectified by making it making things clear, you know. Luke, Conan says, Luke, I truly think if I just keep this to myself, it won't happen again. I just read that one, but I think, oh yeah, I feel if I bring this up with my dad, it'll seriously ruin things. Look, I think you got to do something about it. But again, that's just my suggestion. Um, Aisha says, is there someone you trust to talk to about this, if not your dad? That's a really good point, Aisha. Um, yeah, someone who's impartial, someone who's capable of understanding the situation. You know, you don't want it to be someone who you might think might understand the situation, and then when you try and explain it, it's too much for them. And then they either can't give you any advice or they could have a negative reaction and get upset that you even brought this up to with them, which could make it worse as well. Um, so um, there is, you know, in my country, there is um, counselors that do work through this stuff. And maybe they have that in your country. From what I've heard through the channel, is that we're very lucky in Australia that our um, phone counselling systems across lots of different areas are very not only advanced but accessible. That in America, lots more people. You're on the phone for 3 hours and you never get through. So there's some of the reports that I've heard back that. Um, but you never know. You do some search, do some research, and it's this is a relationship issue, and it's also a domestic violence issue. It's just, it's sexual assault, domestic violence. So you know you could speak to an expert that will guide you through this. Um, But also, like what Are You Sure is saying, is maybe you have a friend, um, or another family member that you could speak to about this. Um, and yeah, Are You Sure continues. Your experience is valid. Your intuition is real. It's not okay. Yeah, you're right. This is a serious issue. Um, you wouldn't be talking about this like this if you weren't worried about it. And you've got a lot of courage to open up about this. This is very sensitive, and I appreciate how you feel comfortable enough to do that here. And just know that none of us judge, and I hope that we've all been helping you through this. Nido Diavolo is here. Good to see you here. I don't think I've seen you in the chat before, my friend, but thank you for being here. Nido says it's a very lonely place to realize that you're in, but from my own experience, it means you have the ability to truly understand the hurt that these issues cause. That's it. Nido says Phineas Gage and the railroad spike go through his head from under his jaw and then out the top of his skull. He lived like 12 years after that. It's crazy. Yeah, absolutely. It is amazing how much the brain can um, exist whilst under severe trauma and still function. You know, there was a case, even I forget who the name of it was, but um, they did an autopsy on someone and they literally almost didn't have a brain at all, and they had a high IQ and they almost had no brain at all. And it's like how people still can't work out um, how it's possible, but apparently it's the case. So, Conan, I don't know if you're still here. I hope you're doing all right and you're feeling better about what you possibly could do in this situation. Um, but yeah, definitely going back to neuroplasticity, it's amazing how the brain can adapt. And that's what I'm learning about, how to heal from complex trauma. And so um, it causes um, irregular brain function. And so doing mindfulness and lots of other things like that, you can rewire the brain, grow the brain, strengthen things. And through particular exercises, physical exercises as well as mental exercises, you can not just re-regulate the nervous system, you can re-regulate brain function, higher thought, prefrontal cortex activity. And then reconnect the different areas of the brain that get disconnected through trauma responses. People with ASD and ADHD can benefit from all of this stuff as well. So I don't know what, I'm happy to keep the chat going for a bit longer. It's been a good therapy session tonight. I think Conan's not here at the moment. Maybe Conan's gone. It got too much. But, hopefully it's given him, respite from his situation. That there is the options. There's several options. So Are You Sure saying try and find someone else to talk to that you know. And then my suggestion was along those lines is see what sort of phone counselling you could get that is specific to this situation. In my country, they have the phone lines, but they also have callback services so that you can book a time, someone will call you. There's paid services as well. Obviously, you can go to a psychologist or a therapist, but I mean that's spending a lot of money on something that's really what your uncle needs to be doing, not you. So MJG says, I hope you're all okay, Conan. I have to go by all with the heart. MJG says, thanks, Luke, with the heart. Thank you for being here, MJG. I look forward to you being able to make art again soon. I'm really thinking about you all the time, and your art is amazing. I really appreciate sharing with me your journal the other day. It's beautiful, full of beautiful drawings and paintings and collages and stuff. So that can be something for the new year, is getting back into making art. So I look forward, something to look forward to. So stay strong. You're an amazing person. Thank you for being here. Nido says, like seeing how happy the idea of art makes you. Thank you, brother. Totally. Yeah, it does. It's therapy for me, and I stopped making art for so long. You can see all those tiles in the background there. That's my art, Well, part of my art. Here's my mixing desk. I used to make music. It's my art, and I haven't made any for ages. So I have to rediscover it all and get back into it myself. And, so it means a lot to me personally, and I see how much it means for everyone else as well. It's amazing when you can make art. You can make art and get feel the emotion of how much it's nourishing. And then sometimes it can be fun as well. It's just fun. And, other times it's sort of serious, you're you have a plan to make something, and you're really focused on creating a piece of work, and it means something to you for the purpose of making the art as well, regardless of the therapeutic or the emotional attachment or the fun aspect. It's a different thing. It's like a so that's what I love about it. There's so many ways that it can be good for you. Nito says, or Nido, I don't know if it's Nido or Nito, but I'll say Nito. I'm guessing. Art is probably one of my favorite pastimes. Oh my God, I love that wall. Thank you. Thanks for that comment. Like, also like that, it's also one of your favorite pastimes as well, you know, but thank you for the, yeah, totally. I'll get back to making more tiles again soon, next year. But that's awesome to hear you make art as well. So like, that's really cool. And Nido says, yeah, I always had a hard time as a kid. It took too, I took it too serious. Now I just try to find joy in it. That's a really, yeah, that's a good comment. I sort of had that a bit. I had times when I took it seriously. Like I was meant to be I wanted to make comic books. I was going to be a comic book artist and animator, and that never happened. And I took it too seriously, and then not seriously enough, and then, you know, and you know, it's coming back around because I wrote I wrote a series of poems, like 4 poems over the last few years, about a bird and a tree, and I'm gonna take the 4 poems and make them chapters in a book, and make it like a children's book with illustrations. So that's going to be my project next year. I've got to do a series of paintings or drawings. I think they're going to be black and white ink drawings. Maybe stencil prints. I don't know. Maybe mixed media. Maybe like mixing some stencil work with painting and ink. I don't know, but it's going to be. I like the idea of using like black and white or grayscale, and then illustrating a book with it. So even though I never became a comic book artist, it might turn out that I end up making a comic book, you know, that's a book full of pictures and words. So I guess the big thing is don't ever completely give up, you know, keep things going. And now that I've got these 4 poems make like this complete story. So they would make a perfect book. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to give it a go anyway. Nido says, yeah, you got it right. Yeah, totally. So we share the same understanding of those things. So it's really nice to meet you too, Nido. I hope you join the chat again. I usually have a Sunday night chat, which is around this time. and I'll often do a stream. I don't know what part of the world you're in. So this Sunday night chat usually is better for people in Europe, and I'm in Australia, so it's good for Australians because it's evening. So it's early afternoon in Europe. And it's like early in the morning in America. So Otto says, "Lol, you got the name right too. I like chatting with new streams. Yeah, lol. It's 5:40 a.m. here in the USA. Yeah, there you go. Awesome. So I did get the name right. That's good. Yeah, well on the East Coast. Lol. That's where I am. Nice. I do have a lot, like, yeah, actually a lot of people from the East Coast join the streams. A lot of East Coast people, all up and down the coast. So it's cool. And I love with these streams. I'm learning all about more whenever I find out about parts of America. Like I do know where a bunch of the states are, but I'm getting to know where more of them are, and I'm getting to know more about the geography, and because there's so many states, from my perspective, like you only hear about the big cities, there's so much, but it's awesome that you found the stream, and that now you found the stream, you're welcome to join and continue on the chat whenever we got the streams going, man. And so that's cool. Yeah, East Coast. So the sun, like, actually no, it's summertime here now. So like the sun rises like 4:30, 5 o'clock. It's like 4:30 a.m. The sun's rising, and it's almost winter solstice for you. So we're approaching summer solstice. So you'd be like twilight right now. Like it's not yet sunrise. You might get another hour or so before the sun rises. So it's probably still dark. But yeah, I'm East Coast Australia, so we're the same. We get the sunrise over the ocean, which is pretty cool. It does make sunrise particular because you almost always have those clouds out over the ocean. So I go up the mountain to watch the sunrise, and you rarely see the sun rise like over the ocean without the clouds. Like there's this element. I think it's just also, I think it's to do with where I am and the islands that exist in the bay. So it's probably a good time to end the chat here. So are you sure, Conan, MJG, Nido? Thanks for being here. Like we'll end the chat in the next few minutes. Nido says, "I bet that must be beautiful." Yeah, we just got out of a really big long drought, and it's raining. It's so nice. It's cold, wet, and dark. I love the idea of sunrise over the Aussie Ocean. Yeah, awesome. I will check out my channel in the next few weeks. There should be a video of that because I like to make videos of the sunrise and sunset. So I'll make that a a thing to try and put a video of the sunrise of the ocean. So I know a spot where I can do that. Unfortunately, because it's summertime, the sun is so far south. The lookout where you get that, it's more in winter time where you get the sunrise in view. It's too far south, and there's mountains in the road. So I'll see what I can do. I can still, but if you get up high enough, you get from the mountains near where I live, you can see right out to the ocean, and you can see the islands, and yeah, it's pretty spectacular. So I've got a playlist on my channel, Sunrise Sunsets. So there's only like 4 videos on there at the moment, but there's got to, the idea when I started a few months ago was I was going to do 1 or 2 a week, and my life just went into sort of chaos for a while. So that all stopped. So the goal is to get back to that, and sunsets as well. I love sunsets. Yeah, you've had a lot of rain too. It seems to be like, yeah, we've had massive rain here in the last month. We've had 2 months worth of rain in 1 month, and that's sort of prevented me from doing these sunset sunrise videos, because when it's cloudy and rainy, you don't get that. And I can't do the sunrise videos because I'm still doing I'm working at that point. I don't finish work until 8 a.m. It's like 7 or 8 a.m. So at least I get to see the sunrise every day from where I am, which is pretty cool. And we got lots of birds. So twilight into sunrise is pretty awesome. So many different birds and animals and things. So awesome to meet you, Naito. I'll look forward to continuing this chat, and join the next stream or whatever. Usually I schedule a live stream a day or 2 beforehand, so it'll come up on your YouTube. You'll get a notification, or you'll see, and then you'll go, oh, that's right, he's doing a live stream, and then you can join it. Often I do a Saturday morning here, which is Friday afternoon, evening there, like Friday night, 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night on a Friday. So check out for those ones if the late night ones don't fit. Yeah, Naito says, nice meeting you too, brother. Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome. I really appreciate it. So thanks everyone. It's been a good chat tonight, and I look forward to the next one. I will do the book club episode in the next few days. Again, I'm sorry, I just didn't finish the book in time. So, but that's all right. Hopefully the people who've read the book aren't going to be disappointed, because I'm still going to make the episode. And then I'll draw the next book out for next month's book club. So Naito says, much love. I'll make sure to check out those videos of yours too. You take care of yourself. Have a great night. Awesome. Thanks, brother. Yeah, really great to meet you. And yeah, check them out, and hope to see you in the next stream. We have great conversations. So yeah, totally. All right. Much love to everyone.